Hello guys, welcome to a tutorial on how to make a temperature sensor which will print the temperature onto an LCD screen. This lesson is part of the Ultimate Arduino Beginner's Guide series, and this is the 9th lesson. Now this lesson follows on from the 6th lesson in the series, which is where we make a temperature sensor which prints the temperature to a serial monitor. So if you haven't watched that lesson yet, you need to watch that before you do this one. But you don't have to if you just want to learn how to do it on an LCD screen. So let's get straight in with the stuff. Right, today we're going to be making a temperature sensor which prints a temperature to the LCD screen. This is an introduction to working with LCD displays. Okay, so today you will need an Arduino or clone, a solderless breadboard, jumper wires, a temperature sensor, now this is LM35, and then an LCD display. Now this one I'm using is 16 by 2. But you don't have to use a 16 by 2. You can use any LCD really that you want, but you'll just have to change a slight bit of the code, which I'll show you later. So you need to wire up your components. Now let's have a little look at this wiring. Now this is way more complicated than we've done before. Right, the LCD screen is wired up to 6 digital pins. I've wired it up today to 12, 11, and then 5, 4, 3, and 2. So they're the digital pins I've wired it to. And then it also the screen also has 5 pins of the screen connected to 5 volt and ground. 3 of them connected to ground and 2 of them connected to 5 volt. And then here we've got a potentiometer, which controls the brightness of the screen, which this pin here is connected to the middle pin, and then the 2 sides of the potentiometer connected to ground and 5 volt. And then this controls the brightness of the screen from being completely off to having too bright that you can read. And then we've got the temperature sensor LM35 here. We've got 2 sides connected to 5 volt and ground, and then the middle pin is connected to analog in A1 up here. So that's for wiring. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pause the program and do the wiring yourself. Okay, let's move on. Now, this is the first time we've had a look at code to do with liquid crystal displays. So let's have a look. Right. This is all new code. So this top bit here is very important. The program wouldn't work without this code. This is #include liquidcrystal.h. Now, this is basically telling us that there is the liquid crystal display being used. That's what you always put at the start of a piece of code that is using liquid crystal displays. You always put this line of code. So, we've just said that it's including liquidcrystal.h. Okay, now let's have a look at this one here now. 1 second. Okay, now let's have a little look at this line. Liquid crystal LCD 12115432. Now, we have just created here a variable. Well, no, not a variable. It's not a variable. It's basically, we've just come up with a shorter name that we can use for it. So it's a bit like a variable. And it's storing these numbers here. 12, 11, 5, 4, 3, 2. If we go back to our wiring diagram, look at what it is connected to here. We've got it connected to 12, 11, 5, 4, 3, 2. 12, 11, 5, 4, 3, 2. We have just declared that the liquid crystal display is connected to these digital pins, 12, 11, 5, 4, 3, 2. And we have come up with a shorter name for it, LCD. Okay, so this bit that I've highlighted in yellow now is liquid crystal bits that you always do when you start a program that involves liquid crystal displays. Now let's move on to I don't know what that called. I'll add this one. Let's move on to these int val and int temp pin. Now, in this series we have come across so many times integer variables. Integer variables are variables that can hold numbers. Integer means number. So, int val. This is going to be a variable for the value of the temperature sensor. This bit here, that part in orange, is for the temperature sensor. So int val, the variable for the temperature sensor value, and int temp pin equals 1. Now if we go back to the code, if we go back to the wiring diagram here, we've got the middle pin of the temperature sensor going all the way up here to A1. So that's why we're saying int temp pin equals 1. We've got the temperature sensor connected to pin 1. Right. So this code here we should all be fine with now. So let's have a look at this stuff here. Void setup lcd.begin 16.2. Right. Let's have a good look at this bit. lcd.begin 16.2. LCD we have said is liquid crystal, as we've declared up here. And we have also said it's connected to pins 12, 11, 5, 4, 3 and 2. LCD.begin 16.2. This is declaring, look at this screen here, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, going that way, and then we have got 2 going down. So we are just saying the number of spaces, how big the LCD screen is. We are telling the program how big the LCD screen is. So far in the program, just to summarise, in the code, we have declared the liquid crystal, then we have set a name for it, and we've declared the amount of pins. We've set integer variable to store the value of the temperature sensor, and then we have set the temp pin. Okay, let's move on to the next bit of code. Not the finished code. The code, sorry, that was a mistake in the PowerPoint. Right, let's look at the next bit of code, void loop. So this will run over and over and over again. And then we're opening it up with an open curly bracket, which could be there. Okay, val equals analog read temp pin. Now, in the tutorial 6, when we looked at this, we discussed analog read. Analog read is reading the analog pin. Temp pin, we have said here, is 1. Temp pin equals 1. If we go back to here, this is one that the temperature sensor is connected up to. So we have said we're going to be reading temp pin 1. That's what value is equal. The value of the temperature sensor is equal to the pin that the temperature sensor is attached to, which is 1. That's pretty simple. Now, I'm going to point you in the direction of these now. Float. Now, these here, all of this bit is just calculations, mathematical calculations, so that it can convert the values that the computer understands to the values that we understand in temperature. So float MV, and then this calculation here calculates a calculation that then float cell, another calculation can use. These are just loads of calculations to get the different things that we understand. Now this one, float cell. This is doing a calculation to get it in Celsius. And then here, float far, this is getting it to get in Fahrenheit. Okay, so hopefully you understand that. Now let's have a look at this bit here. Now, when you're using LCDs, you have three main things, really, when you actually got into real code. I don't mean like these bits, these are just setting up. When you're actually going into the real code, you have lcd.print, lcd.setCursor, and then finally lcd.clear. They are the main things you use. Now let's have a look at them. lcd.print prints text onto the LCD screen. lcd.setCursor sets where it's going to write the text. So we go back to the wiring diagram here. Let's just have a little look at this. So each it's quite confusing the way it works. But look, the top row here, this top row, all of it is 0. This bottom row here is 1. So 0, 1. And then it goes across 1 to 16. So if you, for example, were saying this box here, you wanted to set the cursor to there so that it would write the next piece of text there, you would say 0, and then you go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0, 10. So that's basically what we do. So here, lcd.print temperature equals. So if we go back to our screen, it's going to print at the top bit there, temperature equals. Now let's go back to the code. lcd.setCursor 0, 1. That's saying 0 across, 1 down. So we're going down to the bottom row. And then lcd.print cell. So it's printing the temperature in Celsius. Then lcd.setCursor 5, 1. So this is block 5 across the bottom row. Degrees C. lcd.print degrees C. And then it delays it for a second to give the person reading the temperature sensor enough time to read it. And then lcd.clear. It clears it, and then instantly it gives us a new temperature. It keeps on refreshing and keeps on going. That's the code. Okay, now I want you to challenge yourself now. We've seen all this code. Hopefully you understand it. You set the LED. You set up all the LED and the pins for the temperature sensor, and then you do all this. Okay. This challenge is similar to the one in lesson 6. In the previous block of code, I've set up some code which means you can display Fahrenheit as well as Celsius. If you can do this, you have a very good understanding of LCDs. So basically, what I want you to do is I want you to print on the LCD display this. Not this, I want you to change it to Fahrenheit. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to pause it and to figure that out and write your own piece of code which does that. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that now. So now let's have a look at the answer. This is really pretty much exactly the same as the other one, except from instead of putting lcd.print cell, we've put this lcd.print far, which this will now display in Fahrenheit. That's all for today. I hope that you understood everything I was talking about. If you didn't, feel free to email my email, which is unofficialarduinotutorials@gmail.com, or post a comment in the comment box. Thanks for watching. Be sure to watch my many other Arduino tutorials. I think next time we're going to have a go at making a keyboard with push buttons and a piezo buzzer. Or making a melody, I haven't decided yet. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, guys.